Oh shit. Hey guys, welcome to this week's live stream. Got a bunch of people in the chat already. Welcome. So today we're going to be shrinking and installing the rear window on a Dodge Caravan. I actually get a bunch of them, like off and on, but just with one particular account. I get a lot of these, so I intended to film that rear sliding window or the side sliding window because it's got this big obnoxious plastic piece, and I actually have a pretty simplistic way of getting around it. Wanted to do that, but the back window is actually kind of a pain in the ass too, and it just worked out better for this week's live stream. So we're going to be going into that video, but I guess a couple things I want to say in the very beginning. First off, the tint competition. Shit, it's the first. So if you can get a sponsor through a company that already has a booth, you can, I think you can compete, but other than that, registration just closed yesterday, and I am actually competing this year. First time, never been to that tint off. I've competed before, but placed second one year and didn't fare so well in the other years. But I have some bent up reasons why that happened. So gonna compete this year, which is gonna be pretty sweet. I think I'm gonna do pretty well. I know that there's a bunch of nuanced rules, and there's a lot of good competitors, and it's just going to be a really fun time, good place to network. So that's going to be in Indianapolis, and it's going to be, I don't know, like the 4th through the 6th. It's the beginning of September. So I will be there hanging out and hopefully winning 10 grand. Probably not, but I'm gonna do my best. The other thing is I'm actively putting a website together for my own personal little business. So I've never really tried to get business on my own. I've always worked through companies and stuff like that. So now like in the winter time, I talked about doing the little garage, and it's actually all set up. That was in one of the previous live streams, but I've never actually pulled any real work into it. But I'm at that point now where I feel like I'm gonna I'm gonna try, and we're gonna see how that goes. So yeah, there's a lot of projects that I'll start to pursue, get halfway done, and then get distracted with something else. So this is already done, but the website's still being built. I'm trying to come up with, like, I think I got a name for it. More on that later, but we are going to jump into today's video, and then we're going to get into some Q&A. So those are just the first few things that I want to get out of the way. So bippity bop, let's get into it. So welcome back. Today we have a newer Dodge Caravan. We're going to be shrinking the back window and installing it too, I figured. Let me show you. Ugh. It's brand new. Let me show you one of the irritating parts of it. So the spoiler directly on the outside comes up to this lip right here. So you really don't have a lot of wiggle room on the top to shrink it. And it might not look that curved, but when you get a piece of film on it, it's actually more curved than it seems to be. So we have a couple things in the way. We have the wiper, we have the spoiler. So, and with it being a bubble, it's not exactly the easiest window to shrink. So I figured I'd show you guys how I tackle these, because I've had quite a few. So first things up, I already have dryer sheet and my glass aid on the back window. So we are doing 20% over the factory 20. So that's going to bring this to about a 5%. We also have a train going in the background just because that's what happens when you hit record. So a 20-inch roll is going to be enough to cover this, but as you can see, I can't lay my film flat just yet because the spoiler's in the way. So the way that I kind of get it butt up to the edge is I'll take a look at where the bottom is at, and then I need, like, it's going to bow a little bit. So I need to make sure that these ends are high enough so that when it lays flat, it's going to cover up these corners so there's no gaps when I go to install it. So I like to press the film up evenly right in the middle, and then I'll create a little slit here in between the glass and the spoiler. Then cut away these connecting points right here. So essentially what's going to happen is now I can cut it from the middle, just in between this spoiler and the glass here, and have a nice clean cut, and the film will lay down nice and smooth up to the spoiler. It'll usually tuck in a little bit underneath it, and that's not ideal for shrinking. So once we get that sliced, we're going to go ahead and just scooch it down a bit. Pull away our extra cuts. Just toss them in that bucket. Let's finish this guy off here, so we have some consistency. Perfect. Okay. So you need to keep this edge pretty close to the top, because like I showed you already on the inside, that edge doesn't give you a lot of wiggle room. So we're going to actually shrink directly up to the spoiler. And now, as I lay things down, you can really start to see how much film is all bunching up in a small area. So we also need to cut this extra away from the wiper. And I'll show you how I deal with that too as well. You could just remove the wiper, but I don't know. If I have a crafty way to get it out of the way, that's exactly what I'll do. So we're just going to lay the film flat, leave it bunched up in a couple areas, and now we can tackle it for shrinking. I don't know. I might as well just start with this top. So I'm going to shrink it as close as I can to the spoiler. But I don't want to get my heat gun too close to the spoiler, but it can take a little bit of heat. Nothing's going to happen to it. It's just you can't really get a smooth lay flat edge with it so close. So because I don't have a big trunk sitting in front of me, like on a sedan, I can just go back and forth on the whole thing. Just kind of move the heat around where I feel like it needs to be. So also with that spoiler in there, it can create a bit of like a hot pocket. But with it so far up there, I'm not exactly going to get, like I said, edge to completely lay flat. Not unless I slide the whole piece down, which is also an alternative to what I'm doing right now. I'll usually just polish this up on the inside, which is a thing, if I didn't lay it down all the way. I don't want to sit and focus too much in one spot. I want to keep the heat moving back and forth, so that it'll give the spoiler a chance to just cool down, because it is a lot of heat to throw up there, but nothing happened to the spoiler. It just got warm. That's all. We don't want to melt it. All right, so for this part, this is all pretty straightforward, just very, very curved. So we got a lot of film that we need to address. And then here, we have a smaller amount of film that's all going to come around in a tighter area, but we got the spoiler in the way. So first, I'll usually just start in the middle, like where this lip is, and kind of section it off, and then focus on one side, and then deal with the other side. So this is a section that'll be really good for like pull shrinking some of it. Because it's just the film is so far away from the glass You just want it all to lay down evenly. But it's going to shrink a lot slower towards this bottom section. See, we got this little peak here. Put a little heat there, get that guy out. Now it's starting to look a lot better. Just keep the heat moving back and forth. And then when you really get most of it laid down, like smoothed out, and you just can polish it off really quick towards this bottom, then you can get a little more aggressive and just knock shit out. There we go. Once you get past your line, you're all set. I'll take the cord off the heat gun and actually use it and hold it back. Put a little tension like from my shoulder or just grab it here. And this gets a little tricky. It's not exactly the cleanest way of doing it. So you easily could pop this cap off, pull the wiper off, and then you got all the space to work with. But this does work actually pretty well. It's just a little bit trickier because you don't have as much flexibility with the heat gun. You're still dealing with the wiper. So if you're new to these, I'd suggest probably just removing the wiper. But I've had a lot of rusted wipers before. There's no way, there's no like little tool here that you can use to pop it back. I mean, I guess you could shove a rag in here and pry it back too. But see, we can hold it back and still put some heat underneath it. See these little guys right here? Those aren't creases, but I don't like them. So we're gonna shrink those down just a little bit more. Smooth those out. See, gotta get this a little bit closer as we get towards the end. Polish it up. And that's it. She's all shrunk. So we're gonna go ahead and cut this off. Ta-da! Once I have my my pattern all cut, I'll usually go over it again with the heat gun, just warm up the edges a bit. Just make sure they lay flat from where you cut them. Yeah, see, like right there. Shrink that out. Cool. And then nothing with the top because we didn't cut anything there. So because we are not peeling it from the glass here, we can go ahead and wipe a lot of this off, give us a nice clean surface so we can see anything that might be on the glass when we go to clean it off on the inside. You know, has 12 miles on it. And it's already got this shit all over the back. That sucks. This is also for like a fleet company, so I guarantee you it doesn't matter. So I'll always wipe my hand over the back of back windows. You can't take a scraper card to it really. Like you could take a towel to it, but I like to feel for any dirt, adhesive. Cleaning process is very minimal on these newer ones though. So just wipe it off. Give it a couple of squeegees. Lay it, squeegee it out, and call it a day. So, we got that. So that's the first. Should be really clean now, but, you know, just to give it that extra little polish, I like to go over it twice. Maybe it's because I'm OCD at this point, but squeegee, squeegee. So let's go get the pattern. We're all good to go. So here, we're using the side of the van as our peel board. Try and keep it away from the tire. Start with one of the corners. And then just spray as you go. All right, so for picking this up, I'll start with the corner. I'll lift it up, catch it, and then just kind of roll half of it up. And then when I get another 3/4 of the way up, I'll take my other hand, and now I have it in that classic like Frankenstein method. But we need to shift it forward a little bit. Woo! It's breezy in here. I got a garage door open so I can see. So the wind just caught me. So we need to shift it forward just a little bit, because these can go up pretty flat and you can get most of it on just in one go. I should have had it a little farther over to the right before I stuck it on the glass, but it is what it is. So this top edge likely is a little bit long, but I do have a little bit of paneling out of my way so I can tuck it a little farther. And then it's just a matter of getting it in place to where it needs to be. Alrighty, that's looking pretty good. All my edges look like they're covered. Spray it. Start in the middle, just like you kind of shrunk it. Squeegee it out. Now, remember I said I couldn't get this edge to completely lay flat, so I'm probably going to have something to push out right along the bottom, but for everything else, it should mostly stick down. If we didn't shrink it enough in some areas, it'll show here, but that's okay. You also can like keep a towel ready for when you squeegee it up here, because water that you press up into this panel is going to want to come back down somewhere. See, we got a little bit of a smiley there that we'll have to heat out. Just real small, nothing major. So now let's put all this stuff towards the bottom. See how we did. See, there's a finger shooting up there. So if you have anything popping up along the edge, be careful with the heat that you're going to put on the inside, because it's going to basically start to dry it out, and then it also could stick. So just be careful, because you don't want to crease it here. Just want to go real easy with it. That I'm going to sweep out all together. These little individual ones should just go down flat. Give them a little bit of heat. So let's take something that's going to slide a little bit better. Form this whole edge up. There we go. It all went down in one go. Beautiful. Sweet. all these edges, just make sure they're all locked down. And then right in here, warm up the whole section. A little bit more. There we go. And there we go. If we close it up, check that out. It looks the same, just darker. This thing about factory tinted glass and shooting video is it's hard to show you guys a couple of the little details, and at the end they're all gonna kind of look the same, just darker on the outside. So it's all set, ready to go, and yeah. So thanks you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, hope you guys like that. Sorry about some of the camera stuff. Tried a different lens and didn't use a mono powder for that one. Noticed my arm got in the way for a bunch of it. It's just seems like learning something new every week with trying to get videos shot and then get the daily stuff done at the same time, which is one reason that I want to bring in my own shit into a garage and just have like a good half day to shoot something, because I try and do a lot of this in shops on the go, and it's like there's always something else that pops up or circumstances aren't ideal. So, but hope you guys at least got something good out of it. I took note of some of the questions that you guys were asking during the video, so we're gonna go over a couple of those now. Right at the beginning, hey Matt, is it possible to fix a crease that is in the middle of a window, or is the temp trash? Pull it off and start over. So if you crease it in the middle, you're probably gonna have to just redo it. You can try to minimize it a little bit depending on how bad the crease is, but by and large, as soon as you have any type of a significant crease in the window, it's just an automatic redo. You can hide them from the outside, but even then it's definitely iffy. You're really gonna see it like inside looking out. So yeah, definitely probably redo it. What tools are you using to shrink? So I had the little, I think I got one, I don't know, little Wagner heat gun. That is $20 from like Home Depot, super common. There's a bunch of other ones out there that you can use. Pretty much all of them work. If it's a heat gun, it'll work for tint. Some are better than others. So Wagner's, just get the cheap one. The more expensive ones really aren't worth the money in my opinion. I've bought all of them and they've all failed on me, but there's other reasons too that they kind of suck. The cheap ones are really good, last a long time, get hot enough and do a good job. Kind of feels like a little bit of a toy until you get into some of the better ones. Porter cable is a really good bang for your buck. So they run about $35 unless they're on sale. Those are really good ones, get a little bit hotter, a little bit heavier, and blow a little bit more air. So those are really good. And then also for pressing the film down, so I'll either pull shrink it and try and get everything to lay down smoothly, but when I'm smoothing out the film is really what I'm doing with this. I'm not like, I'm pressing it down, but really all it's doing is organizing the film. This is a soft felt card. It's just, that's exactly what it is. It's like it's in a plastic wrap right now because it's new, but they're flexible, they're soft. They were made they really were brought into the vinyl wrap industry, and I saw a guy using it and I decided to use it for window tint, and they're really solid for that. It's a good mix between a hard card and using a glove. So if there's like a little speck on the back window, like I've had this happen a bunch of times where you take a hard card and there'll be a piece of sand or a little rock or something on the back window. You wiped it all off, you dryer sheeted it, and you're tinting it. You're getting to the very end, and all of a sudden you hit that speck, and you rip right through the film. And this will skip over pretty much all of that. So if it's really big, then you're probably going to leave an impression, but by and large, this will skip over any little pieces of grit or rocks or anything that's on the back window. So I really like these. I've also seen people use, I don't have any here, like a hard triangle card with like their own stick-on felt strip to it. Those are pretty much the same thing. Anything that's like, if you have like a hard card, and then you can put like a softer felt covering over something that's just gonna like cushion it from hitting like a rock chunk or something. That's gonna be really helpful for shrinking a back window, or just using a glove is pretty good too. Mike says the new Pacifica sliders are even worse. Great. I have not actually had a new Pacifica. Might have done like front doors on it, but I haven't had to do any of the rear sections on them. So crossing my fingers that I just don't come across one, because that happens a lot of times where I'll see people like the Honda Civic Type R's. I've only had two. Seen people talk about them a bunch. I just don't get them. So thankfully, I don't like doing them. Kevin asks, why not cut all the film before shrinking? That's actually something I used to do, and I kind of miss doing that, but the films changed me from doing that. So some films just shrink way better at the edges than others. So when I was first learning, I was actually using Lumar, which was crazy to learn on, but it's a really easy shrinking film. So I used to cut all my edges, shrink the back window, and when it got to the edge, it just laid flat. But then I jumped over to, I think the first one was like, no, we pulled in, did we? I think it was like ASWF or something. We pulled in a less expensive film, and it just started curling really aggressively. So I'd shrink it the same, get to the end, near the end, and it'd curl and burn, and it wasn't happening with that film. So then I got used to shrinking the whole thing, little past where I needed to, cut out my window, and then polish up the edges a little bit. So you can definitely do it if you have an easier shrinking film, but some films just aren't super good with it. So I just got in the habit of not doing it anymore. What do you do if you get trash in any of your jobs? Usually just redo it. If it's minimal, like there'll always be a little bit of something. So like, I mean, let's say it's a little bit more than something, right? So often when I tint the top of the window, roll it up, flush out the bottom, not often, but like very occasionally I'll get like a dirt trail, like a very small one to like seep back into the window. Something like that, I'd probably heat up the outside of the glass and try and press out the air out of those individual specks, to hide them as much as I could. But if it's like a patch, or just some scattered speckles more in a corner or something like that, I'll try and touch it up a little bit. But if it doesn't look like it'll touch up very much, then I just redo it. So a spot that could have gotten some trash in that back window was when those fingers, like I tried to, in that Caravan back window, as I was squeegeeing everything out, those fingers that were up at the bottom, when you press the film down and then it creates a vacuum and shoots back up, it's a good thing that it was at the bottom, because everything got swept down and washed away. But if there was like a pool of like some scum down there, and then it gets sucked back up into the film, it would have just looked like shit. So I probably would have had to redo the whole window if that happened. But you can hide some extra stuff too on factory tinted glass, but it you just, by and large, just redo it if you get a lot of trash in it. It's just, that's the thing about tinting. When you get creases, when you get trash in the film, that's what keeps everybody, from the majority of people from continuing on with window tinting. It's just, you got to push yourself to try and do a better job, or your customers aren't going to be happy. And that's really the end goal, is tint a car so the person that you're tinting for is happy at the end of the day. So if they don't accept it, then you have to redo it. It's just figuring out what's acceptable and what's not. That's a bit of a learning curve too, um, but yeah, prep work, getting your technique down, all that types of stuff help. I do this, Ned says, I do this all day, every day, and somehow, even in my free time, I'm here watching people tint. Yeah, I kind of I try not to obsess over tint. It's not that like I'm window tint. It's like I'm always trying to figure out new things for it, or like pushing video forward, or making it sustainable or something like that. Like I've gotten very involved in this whole niche, and I want to just see it do better, and I want to try and do everything I can to keep growing and expanding from it. Uh, MacTac and a heat gun. Yeah, so soft felt cards. The branded name is MacTac. At least that's the where I saw it first. Um, those are like these. They're identical. I don't know if somebody got ripped off or that's just they found them first and branded them, and it was really like I've seen 3M names on them. I've seen all sorts of names on them. You can actually get your own name printed on them, which is kind of funny. If you want to get like a bunch of them, like a big order. Hi from Puerto Rico. Hey, welcome. Why do I suck at tinting? I've tried 20 times and I'm using AutoZone tint. Is that why I suck? Because I'm using cheap tint. AutoZone film, you saw that, sorry, you might have come across that video on my channel. It was not the easiest film to work with. The liner, so the clear part when you go to peel, this is something I actually look for on a lot of window films. When you peel it, if it really grabs the film as you're trying to peel it, it just makes it more difficult. So if your film's not like tacked up, like you put the film on the glass or a board or something in order to peel it, and if it just wants to like fall away, and then you're like juggling it, and it'll just give you a tough time. So that was something I really noticed with that film. It was just kind of a pain in the ass. And then it was also, for me in my installation, it was pretty slick. So it was like sliding all over the place and didn't want to stay down. But by and large, tint just takes a long time to get used to. You can watch videos, but until you really start practicing, watching some more videos and then going back and practice, it's just it can look easy, but it's actually really difficult. It's a pretty nuanced skill to learn. So it drives a lot of people crazy, throws a lot of people away really, really quickly in the beginning. I don't know how many people that I've seen so far go to shrink a back window, try it, get halfway through, and then they just say fuck this and walk away and never touch it again. So yeah, if you're still, 20 times still sticking with it, I mean, just keep trying. That's the best I can tell you. Try and go to maybe a local shop or something. Just try and find people around you if you can. I have a Facebook group, Tinternet or Tint Stuff. Like it's actually both, both names, Tinternet/Tint Stuff. So if you find that group, I've got a good community of people trying to help each other, and you can reach out in your area and try and find other shops and stuff that people are willing to help each other out. It's pretty cool. So definitely check that out too. Um, hey bro, you should get a couple tools to remove the wipers. I've had several wiper removals and it's super easy. Yeah, I had so this is back when I did a little bit more auto glass. Did auto glass for a little bit. I had like the gear puller and that was super helpful. But the reason I just don't is because it's just another thing that I gotta carry around in my box, and it's like it's easy for me to just pull up the wiper and shrink it, and like I don't know, it just hasn't been like a big hassle to work around it, so that's why I haven't removed it. It would make it easier to spend a little extra time and pull it off, and I know it doesn't take very long to do. I just haven't wanted to really remove them lately, and it's easier for me to just like it's just quick for me to just tin it as is, leave everything alone. But I really have come across a handful of rear wipers, like old ones where the bolt is rusted on, you get it off and the thing just doesn't want to wiggle off, and before you know it, you're spending more time on that than just like propping it up with something or just pulling it with a cord. It's just personal preference, really. But yeah, if you're new to shrinking back windows with wipers, definitely try and pull them off. It's usually just one bolt, plastic cover pops off, one bolt, it'll pop off, and then the newer ones or anything that's not rusted should just pop off. But if it's a little bit more than that, then I just don't want to deal with it. Have you ever heard of M-Wave? It's a company that sells tint. No, I have not heard of them. I tinted my two front windows of my CRV 2018, did okay, but by the time I noticed that it's showing small bubbles, you think that's from the squeegee? It's no, it's most likely dirt specks. So a lot of the times, what's going to happen if you've tinted your windows for the first time, you everything might look okay or at least seem okay. There's just water in between the film and the glass, but if you're really not like I don't know. Some people can tell, some people can't, I guess, right in the beginning. There's usually dirt specks in there, and as the water dries out of those dirt specks, they're going to turn bright white, and that's what makes tint jobs really look like shit. So, yeah, that's likely what it is, just extra dirt in your window. So, it's no surprise that it looked okay, and then it got worse over time. Like, as that dried out over a day or two, it's going to look worse. So, it's not going to look any worse than that, but that's what it comes from. I'm still using an Elite Press Plotter Cutter with Tint Tech 2020. I've got some gripes about Tint Tech. They're okay overall, but God, just lately on certain cars, some are spot on and they're great. There's so many of them that I run across that are just like the front edges. You'll like they're just either short on both sides, or everything will match up at the top half, and then you'll squeegee out the bottom half, and you'll notice your front edge just like trails away, and it'll leave a light gap. They're just driving me crazy with that. I only have to deal with that one day a week, but that's still a big pain in the ass. Uh, Thanks for being interactive, Matt. Not everyone likes to answer questions pertaining to their livelihood. I do appreciate the info. You're welcome. Glad you like the show. It's I really like this whole back and forth experience. I tried to do briefly live on the road. I thought that would be a really cool experience. Tried to put chat in there, but God, just when I have a busy day, and it's hard to know. Like I'll have one car, and then that'll be it. And the next thing I know, they have to be out early. Somebody will need my attention for something else, or another job will get pulled in early, and it's just like running around craziness sometimes, especially when you go to hit record. I don't know what it is about the record button that brings extra chaos into the mix, but there's always something. So I really like being able to shoot a video, try and at least edit it down into like some sort of a thought, and then have this whole back and forth. This is a really cool format that I like. And I'm glad you like it too. Can you remove back window rubber set windows in older Fords to tint them? Yeah, if it's the if you're talking about the oh wait. You can remove you're commenting to somebody else. Okay, yeah. Sorry. I missed that part. Yeah, you can on like F-150s and stuff like that. The rubber set ones actually do come out. I don't pull them. Personally, like I was at an auto glass shop. They asked me if I wanted it pulled, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And I was working on something else. Next thing I know, it's out of the vehicle. I was just like, oh, sweet, thanks. Didn't know it was actually that easy, but yeah, those come out. Have you ever used T-View? No, they were actually on my list of films that I have to try. Lexan was like, everybody kept hammering me about Lexan, and finally tried them. And I've been trying out their newer film this week, actually. So they have two variants. They have one that they sell on Amazon and eBay. And then if you actually go to lexanauto.com, they sell their better carbon film there. And I've been using it. I haven't really like been able to do a huge comparison between the two yet, but the stuff they sell on their website has been great. And I did a first impressions video of the stuff on Amazon and eBay, and I was actually really impressed with just the overall quality for the money. I haven't seen anything better yet. But T-View, it's got me intrigued because I do see it on Amazon. I do see it on Amazon and eBay as one of those like more popular brands that's available for pretty cheap. But I know they're like a they're not a tint company. They're what are they? Like a monitor stereo company. And I know they like branded a handful of other things, but I wouldn't like Lexan. I really wasn't sure about Lexan until I tried it, so I can't like my first gut reaction to it would be like probably not great, but I can't knock it too much until I try it. So I gotta actually order it and try it too. But I gotta buy a full roll. Hey Matt, when I cut the outside, I always cut the rubber thing. Is that a problem? Yeah, you don't want to be cutting rubbers. So, um, I'm trying to think of even how to describe this. So I've got a bunch of hand cutting videos, but it's all in the way that you angle the knife. So you just want to take your knife, put a little bit the blade out. So you just want, here, let me try and adjust the focus. Put out about that much. Sometimes I'll put like a little bit more. These red dots are really good. This is a NT red dot knife. They have a bunch of like little clicks on them. So you can just put out like just a smidge of blade. But it's the way that you angle it. So let's say this is my frame. And then when I go to cut, I want it angled not towards the rubber. Let's say my hand is the rubber. I want to angle it. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to angle it away from the rubber if I can. So it's like you're pressing with some pressure against the rubber, but you're angling it away, so it's not actually going to dig into it, and that's the real difference with cutting on auto or with cutting on yeah, rubbers and stuff, or against them. So you don't actually want to like cut out their rubbers and stuff like that. You don't want to do anything to modify the car really, especially chopping up the rubbers. But take some practice, really practice on your own, get it down. But that's how I don't actually hurt the car when I cut on the glass. But, oh, what was that? We need to... Microsoft? No, I'm doing a live stream right now. Don't restart my computer, please. Sorry, I'm trying to read through some stuff. I hate that. When I'm reading, I have a hard time speaking too, so it's just dead air. Hey Matt, how would you tint the back glass windows that have antennas on them? Oh, I actually just did one of those. God, I hate those. Those drive me nuts. I hardly ever see them anymore. But the ones with the antennas, you have to remove them. So it's just really aggressive double-side sticky tape. So you'll see them on like, it was like certain model Grand Prix. I just did one on an old, like an '06 Cadillac CTS. So there'll be an antenna on the outside, and then it's just double-sided stick tape to the glass, and then there'll be an antenna base on the inside, and they're like communicate somehow wirelessly or whatever. Probably just the whatever. So I will heat that up with a heat gun. I'll spray a little bit of soapy water around it, and I will put out you'll completely ruin a blade doing this. But I'll put out as much blade as I can, and then I'll just like slowly try and just slice it away until you like put a little pressure, slice it, and then it comes off. Take a razor, clean off the residue, and then same thing with the inside. The inside's a little bit more difficult, depending on the glass, but I'll heat up the inside a little bit, heat up the outside, and then again spray the inside and just try and pry it up a little bit, and then try and slice it away. Try to not use anything like a screwdriver to really like jam in and pull back, because I've done that and I've broke a back window. So I took a flathead screwdriver, I shoved it in between the antenna and the glass, and then I turned it to get some leverage on it, and then it just popped the whole back window. So be careful of that. You could do it a little bit to try and pry it away, but any metal pressing on the glass is really a bad idea unless you want to replace a back window. So alrighty, I watch your videos knowing I will not do my windows anytime in the near future. Well, I appreciate the views, man. It's I watch all sorts of stuff that I don't actually pursue. It's just interested in the topic. How do you manage front two doors on a BMW 530e with deep sides? So that's more about the technique. I know some people will try and remove the panels and stuff like that, but when it gets into like Mercedes, BMW, well, pretty much with all of them, I just don't remove panels. I'll tuck them in. So it's all about, I need like a window here for a good example. Not that one, but like, it's really just the technique. I wonder if I know I've got a video, but I'd have to find it right now. So I try and keep the film as flat against the glass as possible. So you'll see, excuse me, when I first put the film on the glass, to install it, I'll try and like slide it over, and I'll make sure that the whole edge that's getting tucked into the seal is completely flat against the glass. That's the real key there. Because if it's like crinkled, if it's bowed, it's gonna start fighting against the seal and creating air pockets and stuff like that, and dirt's gonna get sucked into it. So that you really want to make sure it's flat, and then just try and sneak it into the seal. That's as best as I can tell you. Takes a lot of practice on cars like that, because they do have deeper seals, but I still tint those just like I tint a Chevy Malibu or anything like that. So practice, practice, practice. You need a whiteboard. Yeah. Even then, I'm not great at drawing, so I want to just bring up an example video, but I don't know what video off the top of my head to even bring up, and then I gotta like look for it, and that takes time. If anybody has like a good example, can just link in the comments. I'll bring it up. But yeah, I'm not sure offhand. I'll maybe try and look for one if there's a little bit of dead air. Does the tent have? Hey Matt, does the tent have to be turned horizontally in order to shrink it up and down, or can it possibly be turned vertically and still shrink upwards? No. So it's on the floor. There's just so many things. All right. So let me just open this. This is some weird film. This is a great example, though, because it's film. So this is some weird shit. I still want to play around with this. But when you roll film onto glass, it's got to be shrunk up and down. So it's got to be shrunk in the way that the roll is actually going. It's just the way that's manufactured. So basically, think of it being like stretched, and then when you shrink it on the top and bottom, it's like pulling it back together. So that's really what shrinking is. But so you can shrink, like you could shrink technically sideways, but you have to orient the roll sideways. So you always have to shrink in the orientation that the roll is on the glass, or the way that it's unrolled onto the glass. So you have to shrink in those directions. It's just the way it is. Just started a few days ago. Thanks for all the great videos. You're welcome. Glad you like them. Is it a good idea to practice with cheap film first? Yes. It's not going to be an exact one-to-one comparison between a professional grade film and the cheap stuff, but I've seen a lot of people dogging cheap film, saying it's not a comparison at all. Use what you're going to install. Like if you're going to buy a professional grade film for installation, that's what you should practice with. I don't think that's the case. You learn a lot with just handling film. So I would shoot for like a 1.5 mil film versus a 1 mil film. You'll see it like in the description of films and stuff like that. Mostly because manufacturers, like the majority of manufacturers, are distributing 1.5 mil films because they can add more stuff to them. So like carbon, ceramics, all that type of stuff. It takes an extra layer usually, and like, it's just what the majority of films on the market are. They're 1.5 mil films, and the cheapest film is going to be a 1 mil film because it's just less material. So you still can learn some good stuff off of a 1 mil film. You can learn good stuff off of any film, but the more apples to apples comparison is going to be a 1.5 mil film. I definitely recommend picking up like Lexan or something like that. A 40-inch roll by 100 feet is going to cost you like $100. So you can't really go wrong with something like that. It's a solid film as far as like the look and the feel of it, and it's cheap enough to get a lot of good practice out of. So definitely go for something like that for practicing. And then from there, you know, whatever film that you end up picking up is going to be a little bit different, but it's going to be very comparable to at least what you practice with. So all the principles are still there for sure. So shrinking it is going to be the biggest variance, and maybe the way that the film sticks to the glass, like, oh, this film slides a little bit easier, this one has a little more aggressive adhesive, and then the look and the color is going to be different, of course. But the two main things is shrinking and then maneuvering it along the glass. Like, what does it feel like when I'm putting it on the glass? Those two things are going to be different. But yeah, definitely don't blow all your money on expensive film just for practicing. Like, there's no point. Just practice with some cheap film. You'll learn a lot, and then you'll find out if you really want to do it or not too, because it can look exciting and then all of a sudden be a big pain in the ass, and you just invested all that money for no reason. So start cheap and work your way up is what I'd recommend. What kind of brand do you recommend? For starting out, try Lexan. Right now, we have training film on our website too, but Lexan is definitely a solid brand to try. Where's the bad idea? Oh, a lot about the same question. I was watching the video on Lexan. Is the shrinking really different from a more premium film? It depends on the premium film, actually. So it's actually a carbon film. So it's not a dyed film, so it shrinks a little bit slower, but it didn't seem to shrink bad or anything like that. It was just slower. So I had to put the heat a little bit closer. Just take my time in certain areas. You'll, like on that Caravan, you'll see me whip through areas a little bit quicker. As soon as I pull it, start shrinking it, it lays down pretty quickly. With Lexan, in the beginning, it did that, and then when you start getting out towards the farther edges, it takes a little bit longer to shrink down. But that's really the only difference. And I'd compare that to like a nano carbon film, which is actually what they say it is. So when you get into ceramics and carbon films, they by and large shrink a little bit slower, and they're a little bit more rubbery in texture, but it depends on who the manufacturer is. If it's a dyed ceramic, they generally will shrink really fast, but if they put carbon in it, that seems to be the element that makes it shrink a little bit slower, or the way that it was manufactured. So when you start playing around with like a bunch of different films, you'll know what I'm talking about, but it's hard to explain it without just trying it for yourself. But yeah, it was comparable enough to any film that I use right now. It's just a little bit slower. Okay. Hello? Am I good? Do I have audio? I hope. Shit. Maybe I can put it on this one. I don't know. No. Hello. Okay. I think we're good. Um. Advanced audio properties. Um. Monitor only. Monitor and output. Nope. 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 Whatever. I don't know. It should be good. Can you guys hear me? Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Yeah, I can't hear through my headphones now. I had this mic just totally skipped out on me because I used it to film a video, and then I didn't have time to charge it, or at least totally forgot about it. So, sorry about that. Thank you for hanging with me. I guess, where are we at? So somebody was asking about, um, I don't remember. But hopefully I answered whatever question that was. Uh, oh, yeah. Lexan, I answered that one. Okay, cool. On to the next one. Watching you tint windows is satisfying. Have you ever thought of doing ASMR tint videos? No, I haven't. I'm not into ASMR personally. It's yeah, I'm not even necessarily sure how to respond to it. I've been told I should at least like do one of those videos for views, but I don't understand the whole ASMR culture. Like I like actually um, rain sounds at night or something like that, like white noise in the background. But the whole like crunching paper and like I know there's a bunch of that with window tint actually, but it's just not one of my things. So I don't know. I don't understand the culture personally, so that's why I haven't done any of those videos. Uh, is there a way to check if window tint is ceramic if it is already installed on the car? Oh, no, no. I have no good way of telling you if it's ceramic or not. Actually, just I would think it's like if you bought the car from somebody and you had tint on it already, I would think it's something that somebody would disclose. Um, Ceramic films and carbon films can have a little bit of a what's called a low angle haze, so you'll see the window like God, burpee. You'll see the window like haze up a little bit, really, when the sun is at a very extreme low angle to it. So if it's like noontime, like yeah, around like 12 o'clock or something like that, when the sun's up high in the sky, and then hitting that window at a very like sharp low angle. But other than that, it should at least feel better than like a dyed film or something like that. You can take an IR bulb and see if it blocks out a significant amount of IR, but other than that, like just visibly looking at it, there's not a huge way to tell one way or another. Like you can have a good looking dyed film, you can have a good looking ceramic film. Thanks, Matt, and thanks for the great video. You're welcome. Glad you like them. Thank you for subscribing, right? Some tint some temp meters measure TSER and IR rejection. It's probably another comment to somebody else. Yes, they do. So those are the two. Actually, I'll just talk about that for a second. So there's two big ways to measure film, like Jake said, TSER and IR. It's the TSER is total solar energy rejection, and then the IR, that's really what you feel. But a lot of places, a lot of companies make all that information confusing because you have what's called a solar spectrum. Um, and I wish I had a good picture of this. Spectrum. Because I actually looked into this a lot more for. Ooh, a company will only measure a certain point on that wavelength to make their film seem better than it actually is. But when you go outside, you get the whole spectrum at once on your car. So you have to, like, the best way to figure out if a film's any good is really just put it on your own car, drive it around, see if you like it, compare it to another one. Tint a window half-half using one and another one. But those IR bulbs are actually really good just to see how much IR that it's really going to block out. So um, just to just kind of throw that out there. I almost thought I kind of lost track from even where it was. Oh yeah, the TSER and the IR. So a little bit on wavelengths and stuff like that. So it's cool stuff. There's a whole bunch of videos just on solar energy, wavelengths, stuff like that. You guys definitely should look up just some general videos about it to learn more about sunlight, really, and the what you're installing, and then when a company tells you a little bit about these numbers and stuff like that, you kind of know what to reference and what they mean by, like, this spectrum. Like, oh, what is, like, I don't even get it. Like, I didn't understand it for years until I really looked into it. Let's see. Have you in all caps makes me want to yell it. Have you shrink 3M? Have you shrink 3M crystalline? If so, what are your thoughts on it? I've only done it twice, and it was a son of a bitch to try and shrink. It's just not a fun film. It is a completely, like, you have to do a totally different shrinking process. You can't just, like, shrink it like I do in my videos. You have to do something different. But by and large, I would say it's probably overrated for what you actually get. It's a very expensive film, and I know there's people that ask about it. But if you have some high-end clients that really want it, then by all means go for it. Try and learn it. It is difficult, and hopefully 3M rep would help. Like, if they'd send a 3M trainer or something out if you bought crystalline or something, like, you know, if you stocked up on it, you probably could arrange something through 3M to get some training, because they're always looking to add crystalline dealers onto their list. That is a big money maker for them, but it is a very, very difficult film to shrink. And I just think by and large it's overrated. You get more bang for your buck out of a lot of the newer IR films that are coming out. They're not near as expensive, and they do a world of difference to block out heat. So I'd go with something like that. I've had an experience where I got a piece of tint installed on a Mazda, and while shrinking it, didn't shrink up nor down, but only sideways. I guess the supplier turned the tint unknowingly. I'm not really sure. But yeah, if the roll was turned sideways, like, look up some Tesla Model 3s, and you'll see people shrinking those sideways. They use a 60-inch roll. There's really, like, let's see, the F-150 video that I did, actually, I put a piece of film on the window vertically, and then I also flipped a 36-inch roll horizontally, and I would shrink it on the side, but it's just because the roll was oriented differently. Other than that, it just won't shrink. Like, you can try it, and you can see what it does. It'll all just, like, pull together in a sharp peak, and it just doesn't look good. Sucks. Ruins the whole thing. Have you ever tinted the back glass on a 1956 Bel Air 4-door? No, thank God, and I never want to do one. What was it? What year was it? 56. Let me show you guys this. 56 Bel Air. This does not look like a fun car. Oh, this actually isn't as horrid as what I was thinking, but this one does not look fun. Old cars, classic cars, are just a different game. So you see any of my videos, and they're on usually modern cars. I'd like to maybe do a video on an older car, but the reason that I don't do like I think I had a video on an old Ford Falcon, but they're so time consuming, and I hardly ever get them. So I don't have, like, I'm not the greatest tinter on older vehicles like that because they're just a different animal altogether. They take a lot more precision, they take a little bit more cleaning, and just some extra care steps. And you have nowhere to tuck the film. So by and large, you're tinting right against a flat rubber seal. So you have the glass, you have like your border, and it's just like however that edge is like tucked up into it or like right next to it, it's like seal falling apart. It's just a bad time. I don't like doing stuff like that. I would charge way more to do something like that, and most of the time I could do 2 regular cars in the time that it takes me to do that, if not longer. So that's the way I look at this. Is like I want to make as much money with the time that I have, and if it's just, if I want to accept it as a challenge and bragging rights, then I would go for it. But if I really just like want to get the most out of my time, then I'd rather just do the regular cars one after the next because that's what I get in my daily workflow. So I'll probably do a video on an older car eventually, but it would not be a super flat out video of like, okay, so we're gonna do this, just cut it out, slap it in. No, there probably would be a lot of repeat attempts, a lot of cussing, and yeah, just don't want to do it. Sorry, sorry for the all caps in all caps. I appreciate the apology, but that made me laugh too. All caps is so funny. It always makes it look like somebody's screaming when they use all caps. Okay, where are we? We're at 10:40, so we're probably gonna wrap things up in a little bit. Let me just look. Matt and Tint Pro, thanks for the reply. Good job, Tint Pro. Thanks for helping out in the chat. El Camino rear glass, like 84 to 86. No. I've tinted one of those outside of the vehicle. Those aren't super fun. What about a double 2000 Pontiac Firebird? Ooh, actually, that one, was it? The Thunderbird's a really bad one. But Firebird. Oh, okay. So this is more like the Camaros. It actually could be just Pontiac's version of the Camaro. Ooh, wait, is that a hatch? Did I do one of these? It's got to be a hatch, right? I don't know. Does it? It's got to? Or is it not? That one, it would still suck. Don't get me wrong. But I would probably be able to do that one. Just wouldn't be super happy about it. I'm looking through it right now. Oh, it doesn't look like that one actually opens up. Shit, maybe I've just avoided that all my life. Those wouldn't be super fun. You guys want to have a fun car. The 90s? 95 Corvette. Yeah, this one. This son of a bitch right here. Let me show you guys this. Back to my camera. Bottom part is big bitch. Their hatches like the Camaros. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, so I've done the Camaros. I don't think I've gotten the Firebirds, or the Thunderbird Firebird. Thunderbird and Firebird, it's like super annoying because they're both suck, but in their own ways. The Thunderbird, like the 2000s Thunderbird, that is also a pain in the ass. I haven't gotten many of those, but I had like a new installer message me, and he had a couple of old cars, like his friends wanted their cars tinted, and they all had like these old 90s cars that just sucked. So like Thunderbird, Firebird, um, Camaro, like the older Camaros and stuff like that. And he would just message me and just be like, "Is this one hard?" It's like, oh, God damn it, man! You just got like the worst cars ever. Oh shit! Sorry about that. The sound cuts out when I show you guys the computer screen. Oh yeah, that makes sense because I didn't put you guys on. My microphone's all messed up. I apologize. So, real quick, I'll just say, like on that 80s Camaro, you have the buttons at the bottom. All that hardware's got or 90s Camaro, or sorry, 90s Corvette is what I'm trying to say. That one that I showed, those little buttons at the bottom, all those have to be taken off, and then I've seen people tint it in 3 individual pieces because you have vertical defroster lines, so you can do it that way, but it's just not super fun. So sorry about the audio. My microphone, it's a wireless one. I use it for all my filming. It's the only way for me to get better audio without attaching a camera right up here. And I don't know. I haven't sprung for like I have a mic sitting over there, but it didn't like I don't know. I bought it a while ago and I hooked it up and it wasn't working. But I have this one up here. I wasn't sure how good it would sound. I just figured I'd use my nice wireless mic, and then it died. That always sucks. It's so hard getting good audio in these shops. Like, they, in the video that I just shot, that Caravan, I don't know if you guys noticed, like this, every time I open the door, it's just this ear-piercing siren that goes off to let them know that a customer walked in. But good God, man, like, there's that. There was a train. There's the tech that's also there. He uses a bunch of air tools while I'm working. So it's just like you got all that, and then at the other shop, same thing. Like they're taking stuff apart. They got to get work done. There's always stuff going on, and like audio is one of the biggest headaches to try and get in any of these shops. Because if you just like set up a cell phone and walk 5 steps back, it already sounds not so great, and then you get all that stuff going on in the background, and the microphone just like turns up the gain automatically and starts picking up all that extra noise, and it just sounds like a lot of garbage. So audio has been a huge challenge to try and overcome. I want to get like I'd like to get a shotgun mic for my camera, like something that sits on top. But the lens I actually use, it makes a sound when it changes the focus and stuff like that, and I'm pretty sure the microphone would pick that up too. So it's like all these little things that suck with video, and then trying to get the proper angle because everything's so like nuanced. So it's like I'm over here shrinking, and then I'm over there installing, and it's like always trying to like it's you're so close in between the subject and the camera has to be back here or somewhere in between, and good God, it's just tough. But I do my best, and I'm glad you guys appreciate my efforts at least. So hopefully we'll be doing some cool stuff coming up with pulling some jobs in with the garage. I don't know. I have to finally do something with it. Just because I have to start creating my own client base. I really want to put a big effort into um, showing a lot of the nuances behind it. Like really, like here, we're going to flash over to this screen really quick. I know my audio is going to cut out, but just like watch it for half a second. All right, so I'm not going to let it go for too long. But stuff like that, I really like trying to show the detail behind some of this stuff when I have the time to shoot really cool footage. And like, I don't know, it'd be super cool to like really make something like that garage actually look really fucking cool. It's not about the shop that you're getting it installed at. It's all about the installer that's installing the film. It's never has to be about the space, getting a big, huge, beautiful looking shop. A lot of people aspire to do that, but I have always felt like a really small, cool space is all you need. So hopefully, moving forward, I'll be able to at least convey that outwardly to like uh, local people for business and stuff like that. So that's the idea with it. You guys will hopefully see some of those videos coming up. Like I just like shooting cool B-roll when I have the chance. So. But yeah, so now I'm just drowning on at this point, and I'm gonna go ahead and end things. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. Glad we got a lot of your questions answered, and it's just scrolling back through. The chat will periodically it'll censor stuff, but I just said bottom part is bitch. Fuck that car. It censored both of those, so I made sure to show those. Alrighty, but I seen a video. Didn't shrink it at all. Oh, didn't see it. I saw a video of the Camaro hatch. Guy didn't shrink it at all. Yeah, it's actually like this weird, like counterintuitive, or like I don't know. It like the parts that it bows out and like sinks back in. It all like neutrals itself out. It's crazy. I still shrink those though. They're not super fun for me to do. But anyways, thanks you guys so much for hanging out. And I don't know. I'll see you guys next week. Not sure what I'm going to do, but same time, same channel. I don't know how to end this, so we're just going to awkwardly end it. Bye!